Hi, my name is Scott. I'm here to share with you my week one results on Zepbound. So how much weight did I lose? Where was it lost? So I took measurements so we can actually see what part of my body lost the most circumference, and also what did I theoretically lose? So a lot of people say there's a lot of water weight lost at first. So that would essentially be kind of the amount between theoretical and actual. So the first view I'm going to show, I'm going to put them right here. My target was to be down from 311.4 to 309.1. Blew that out of the water. So theoretically, and I'll show it theoretically how that's calculated in a second, but I was going to be 307.6. Actual, I was down to 305.6. So considerably lower than I was expecting. And this is at the same time I started a whole bunch of stuff. So I took a bunch of supplements, one of which was creatine, which increases your weight usually at least 5 pounds. Me, typically 7 pounds when I would load it. Typically, as in 20 years ago, that's what it did to me. I didn't do a loading phase in the same way. I only was taking 5 grams. Loading was, I want to say it was around 15 grams for a whole week. So I didn't really, quote unquote, load the same way. But still, I wasn't expecting to drop. I was really thinking it was going to be more subtle at first because there was going to be that competing between gaining weight with creatine and losing weight with calorie restriction. But this first view just shows kind of how each of them progressed down. So how is theoretical created? I'm tracking two things that burn calories: resting energy and active energy. Both are tracked with my Apple Watch. Intake is just something I put into the health app. Every single time I eat something, I put how many calories it is and also the grams of protein. This shows those two things going down, as in that's how much I burn. So the resting and the active are both burned calories, and the blue is the amount that I ate in. So you can see I was very restricted down to 17, 18. I had one day where I had 3,100 calories because I am intentionally wanted to try to prevent my body from getting used to that calorie restriction. So on one day a week, I'm trying to have closer to 3,000 because that's what my resting is. As you can see, the first bar in each one, that's what I burn doing nothing. And it's 3,000, 3,000, 2,900, 3,000. So I want to try to get one day at least every 7 or so where I'm kind of touching that again. So the net of all of these is that that thing that you want to have as a negative. So you want to have a calorie restriction. So essentially you want the net of the 2 minus orange and the blue to be a negative number at the end of the day. So this next view shows what that actually was for each day. So the first day, it was a net negative of 2,100 calories. It varied a little bit every single day, but the net negative was around 1,600, which is about a half a pound lost every single day because a calorie is 3,500 calories. So if you do a cumulative all of those, after the whole week, it was minus 13,000 roughly, which on this next view I'm going to show ends up being about minus 3.8 pounds. So theoretically, I lost 3.8 pounds, but the scale said I lost 5.8 pounds. So it's a 2-pound difference. So is that explained by water weight, inflammation? I'm not a doctor, but I'm just showing what the data shows. But there is a difference between theoretical and actual, and I think that's pretty consistent with what most people see in drugs like this. So the 5.8 pounds or the 3.8 and plus the water weight, the inflammation, I wanted to try to understand this a little bit, at least from a measurement point of view. So on the left-hand side, you can see what it was on the first day, my measurements, so I had 51-inch waist. And then, of course, a week later, I was on the right-hand side. So you can see I've broken below the 50-inch waist in the very first week, which is fantastic. So I think it's just a good reminder. This was not just Zepbound in effect. I started a lot of things. So I'm trying to stay close to 2,000 calories, 150 grams of protein. I started creatine, a whole bunch of supplements, multivitamins, C, D, glucosamine, chondroitin. I don't even remember, apple cider vinegar, all kinds of stuff, just throwing a whole bunch of stuff at it. And this is just what the net of all of that was. If I put all of these kind of side by side, I put that in the next view. So the first day minus the last day, what is the actual difference? I put them into different groups. So there's core, which is this, the midsection, the abdomen, the waist, the hips. And then peripherals, so my arms and my legs. So upper peripherals are my arm, and lower peripheral are my legs. But you can see that nearly like 60% roughly is explained of the difference, if you add everything up, is from the core, which is fantastic. So waist, abdomen, chest, hips, that is 60% of the size reduction in just 1 week. And it's not just a little, it's pretty significant. So the abdomen was down 1.8 inches, waist down 1.4, chest down 1.1. Now, this is me using one of these little stretchy tape measures where you push the button and it kind of pulls itself back in. So there's a little bit of error possible with that. But after weeks and weeks of me doing this, we'll get to see some of that variability kind of smooth out from week to week. You can see actually some of these things actually went up. So like shoulders went up, arms actually went up or stayed the same. And again, I'm loading creatine at the same time. So maybe I'm doing upper body lifting as well. So maybe that's kind of where some of the water is being retained inside the muscle. So a little bit of give and take again. But good to see that it's mostly in the core and not coming out of the arms in particular. Water weight, of course, can be here. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, as I said. But let's look at another view. So I also have been taking my body fat percent in addition, of course, to my body weight. This first view is the DEXA scan result from when I started. So you can see I was 38.9%, which was the 99th percentile. So if you find 100 people my age, there's possibly just one person who has a higher body fat than that. So really, really terrible body fat percent. I was very good on bone density and muscle mass. Bone density was 95th percentile roughly, and muscle mass is 85th percentile. So really good on muscle and bone, horrible on fat. So lots of low-hanging fruit here. But I did the gym one where you hold the little handles and step on the scale, and it sends like some kind of impedance through your body. But it was the same. So starting point to a weekend, it stayed the same. So the body weight went down by about 5 pounds, but the body fat percent stayed the same, which is not really great to see. But again, these are not perfect things. The DEXA scan is of course much more accurate. I'm going to do one at the end of the month. So that'll be hopefully breaking down into that 37% range and getting me away from the 39% or so. But that'll be kind of a better indicator. But as of now, the 1 week difference, there's no difference. But the weight's down, the measurements are good, but nothing is showing up in the body fat to that's really a positive indicator. So 3 main takeaways for week 1. The scale moved more than calories alone would predict. So the theoretical showed 307, the actual was 305. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe it's water weight, maybe it's inflammation, but after a few more weeks, things should settle down. So hopefully any of that initial exaggerated actual loss will be under control. Most of the size difference, of course, came from the core, which is fantastic. Limbs were mainly preserved, which is also great news. I would say in the week 2, we'll get to see, is that water? The trend will stall or reverse if it was water, possibly. If it's real fat loss, hopefully we keep seeing the core going down. I don't know how this is different from other people, but this is just my story. And that is a wrap for week 1. I hope this is somewhat interesting. If you have questions, put them in the little comments and I'll check them. Thank you, and subscribe, like, and do all that stuff. This is a new channel, so I would love a little bit of that love. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you next time.